Hey everybody, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate that you hit the link to watch this video. Today what I want to talk about is washing off a horse, and that might seem like kind of just a simple thing to talk about, and it is. But if you're the type of person that, like I tend to be, I tend to want to know why. Like if somebody tells me to do something, I'm the type of person I want to know the logic behind it, I want to know the reasoning behind it. I don't want to do things just to do things. I want to know why. So today, just in case, maybe you've never thought about it, I want to talk about why you hose off a horse and wash him down with water. This is Samson. This is J-Bar Doolin. His barn name is Samson, and he's my cutting horse that I'm currently showing right now. We just worked him on the flag. It's not super hot today, but he did get sweaty. So I'm going to talk about and show you how to wash him down. So I'm going to talk for just a minute before I turn on the water, because I'm afraid when I turn on the water, you're probably not going to be able to hear me very well. So first I just want to talk about the reasons why do you even wash down a horse. Here at our barn, our general rule of thumb is if the horse sweats even a little bit, we hose him off. That's our general rule every time. And the reasons for that are 3 reasons that I came up with. The first reason being the faster you can cool down their joints, the more you're going to be able to help prevent inflammation and soreness. So that's probably the main reason why we want to cool down those joints with cold water after we have worked them and got them hot and sweaty. Just like athletes, I'm sure you all have seen like football players or whatever it might be, and after a big game, they'll go sit in a tub full of ice water. Same thing, same concept. We're helping to prevent injury, we're helping to take inflammation out, and hopefully helping to prevent some soreness. So that's probably the main reason why we wash our horses and cool them down after a workout. The other reason is if you want your horse to be nice and shiny and pretty, horses actually have more more salt in their sweat than people do. And if you just leave that salt on their hair coat and don't wash that off, it's going to dry out their hair coat. It's going to eat away a lot of the natural oils that a horse has. Your horse is going to look more dull and is going to be a lot more prone to being sun faded. So wash that salt off, get that salt off the horse. And just a little tidbit in case you don't know this, horses, the more that they are out of shape, the more that their muscles will produce a foamy sweat or more of a white sweat. I'm sure everybody has seen a horse that's worked hard enough that he's foamed up, that he's got like that, almost looks like soap on him. That's the sign of muscles that are not in really great shape. If you want to know if a horse is in really good shape and you get them working hard and get them sweating, the clearer their sweat is, the more that it looks like water, that will tell you that that horse is in very good shape. So that's just something for you to keep in mind. So the third reason why we wash off our horse when we're done is just as an reward. You know, it's hot, they want to be cool just like we want to be cool. It's a nice reward, it's a nice way to thank them, to make them feel good after we've given them a workout and asked them to work for us. Now, if you put your horse away and you say, he doesn't deserve to be washed off today, I don't want to make him feel good, then to be honest, you need to get back on your horse and end on a good note. You never want to put your horse away when you're mad at him or he's mad at you or whatever. You always want to end on a good note. You always want to end when you two are both at peace with each other and you've resolved your issues. Maybe you need to back down in your training to get to a point where you can end on a good note, but you always end on a good note. So in my opinion, there's never a reason why a horse shouldn't be washed off after he's been worked. Some concerns I've had people tell me over the years is sometimes people are worried about putting cold water on a horse. They think it's too hard on their system after they're hot and sweaty to spray them down with ice cold water. I disagree with that. It's easy for people to put their own thoughts and emotions on the horse. When I'm hot and sweaty, I don't want to be sprayed down with ice cold water. But I'm not a horse. So obviously some big differences are horses have hair, we have bare skin, so I don't think it's quite as a dramatic change in temperature. Also, horses are a much larger animal than us, and when we're spraying them down, we're not like dunking their entire body in ice cold water. We are spraying portions at a time. So it's not like their entire body is getting cold instantly. And then the other thing is, God made these animals to live out in the weather. They go through all kinds of extreme weather, ice cold rains and snows and stuff that come up in a heartbeat, and survive very well. God made them to handle temperature changes much better than we do. So in my opinion, cold water does not hurt a horse at all. I have never seen any kind of negative effect from it. I've only seen positive. The other thing I want to talk about is, if you've ever sprayed off a horse before, on the rump, back here in a certain spot, there is a reflex, a nerve that will, if you hit that with water, it will sometimes cause a horse to squunch his butt up underneath him. You've probably seen that before. And sometimes people think it's because the water is cold. It has nothing to do with the temperature of the water. What that is a natural reflex. Just like if the doctor hits your knee and your leg swings up, it's a natural reflex when you hit a certain spot. And actually, even though some people think maybe the horse is in pain when he's kind of crinkling up like that, they're not in pain, and it's actually can be really good for their spine. It can pop their spine and realign their spine and put it back in place, just like a chiropractor would do. So when my horses do that, I think it's great. I think it's wonderful and can actually be a very big help to them. When you spray down a horse, you can spray them everywhere except for in their ears. Do not try very hard not to let water get in their ears. Horses hate that. And I don't blame them. I wouldn't want that either. You can spray their face. I'll kind of show you how to do that. Obviously, the water isn't going to hurt their eyes at all. Most of our horses, I know some horses love it and have a lot of fun when you spray their face, but most of our horses kind of don't really like it. It's like a little kid. It doesn't want their face washed. So most of our horses will kind of throw up their head just a little bit, just like because they don't want their face washed. But it doesn't hurt them any, and if their face gets sweaty, I will definitely wash them there too. Up between the back legs is another good place to make sure and wash your horse. They can get a lot of chafing there. But if you have never washed off your horse before, a lot of times when you first do it, you got to desensitize them to it. Depending on how much handling your horse has had in your horse's personality, some horses are pretty scared when you first start spraying them down. So I would recommend the first time you spray your horse down, don't mess with the head, don't mess with in between the legs. I would just do their main body, down their legs. Do be careful. Some horses, when they feel that on their legs, will kick. So do your desensitizing work and your groundwork and have some common sense when you wash off your horse for the first time. And I recommend that you don't tie them up, that you let them move if they need to move. And it's just like any other kind of desensitizing. You wash them off and just kind of hold it there until they calm down and stop, and then you take it away to reward them for that. And that's how you can very quickly get them used to it. And most horses love a bath and love to get cooled down once they get used to it. So we tend to wash, I'm in the indoor arena. We do have a wash bay that has hot water, but to be honest, we really don't use it that often unless the weather is pretty chilly. Like in the fall or early spring, if it is chilly, I will go there and use some warm water. But for the most part, we actually just wash off in our arena here because we need the water to keep the dust down in the arena. So instead of wasting that water, we might as well use it for two purposes. And then in the summer, when it's really hot, we don't even squeegee our horses off with a sweat scraper. We just let them dry and just leave them wet, just tie them up and let them dry. When it's really hot, I figure the longer they can stay wet and stay cool, the more comfortable they're going to be. So it's not absolutely necessary that you let them dry. You can put them back in the pasture right away, but most of the time horses will go out and roll, and if they're wet and they roll in the dirt, it's going to stick to them, probably more than it would if they were dry. So we normally have the time and just let our horses dry before we put them away. So when you're washing off a horse, you want to do like you do when you're brushing. You want it to go in this direction, in the direction of their hair. There again, you're not spraying it in their ears, and you're they're more comfortable when you're going with the direction of the hair. So I'll show you that now. So again, the pressure is something to consider, the pressure of your hose. If I had this on full straight pressure, that would irritate him. That would be a little too hard and he wouldn't appreciate that. If I had it too soft, it's not going to really get down into his coat very well. So I like pressure, that it cleans them really well, but not enough that it's going to irritate them. Okay, so when I wash his face, again, I'm going to try not to get it in his ears, so I'm just going to come up at this angle. There you go. Good boy. Okay, and there he goes. He's doing that. I don't know what it's called. Do you know what it's called when they do that? No. I don't know if it has a name, but you can see there we hit that nerve a little bit. And I want to keep going till you can kind of see the sweat has a little bit more of a, like you can kind of see the sweat bubbles a little bit. You want to keep washing until you don't see that anymore. And you want to make sure to do both sides. Okay, so again, the three main reasons why we wash off our horse is one, to cool down their joints and help take inflammation out of the body. And two, it's gonna really make a big difference in keeping the hair coat nice. Oh, and I forgot to mention too that we hardly ever use soap, like pretty much never. If we're ever gonna use soap, it's gonna be an equal wash because that has a pretty good pH balance and doesn't strip the natural oils very much. But if you use soap on a regular basis, that soap is gonna, like I said, strip the oils and it's gonna make your hair coat dull. So we very, very rarely ever use soap. Just a good spray down with water is excellent for them and will actually encourage the oil production in their hair coat. And then the third reason is just to make them feel good and give them a good reward. So, all right, thanks again for joining me. Y'all have a nice day.